Hi guys, it's Toddy here from Recombo at a London pre-briefing event for the Samsung Galaxy S8. It is arguably one of the most talked about phones of the year already, and the phone isn't even out yet. So what we're looking at here is, as the rumours did expect, a 5.8-inch Quad HD Plus Super AMOLED display. And one of the things you might notice, especially down the bottom edges, is the curved corners. That's one of the things that Samsung has been pushing with the S8 and the S8 Plus, its bigger brother, is this more natural rounding, so it's more comfortable in the hand, but also the screen looks more naturalistic. The 5.8 inches is measured as if it was a perfect rectangle, just in case you're wondering. That Quad HD Plus resolution as well means it's 2960 by 1440, and it's actually a 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio in place of a 16 by 9, so it's closer to that of true cinema style. So when you're watching media on this phone in landscape, it looks closer to a media experience you get in the cinema. That's the theory, at least. The big hook, obviously, with the screen, aside from the dual curve display, which we had on the last year's S7 Edge, is that the bezel is so thin, it goes right to the edges of the phone. So when you're looking at it head on, it is almost invisible. It's beautiful to hold. It feels extremely comfortable. So if I actually turn it to the underside, you can see that Samsung's actually created a symmetrical design, much like the Note 7, as I said. So the front and the back glass curve to kind of the same line. It gives a really nice symmetry to the phone, but it also gives a greater feel in the hand. Now, if I go back to the front, one thing you might notice, which was talked about in the rumours as well, is that there's no home button. Samsung has had a physical home button on its flagship since forever, effectively. Instead, you now have this pressure-sensitive home button, and by that I mean, say you're playing a full-screen video where you can't see the actual graphics here, the icons, you can still push down and it will actually give you haptic feedback and vibrate, so you know you're pressing the home button. To unlock the phone now, there are multiple ways to kind of use security on this device. The first, and kind of the replacement for the home button fingerprint sensor, is now on the back. If I turn the phone around to the back here, you can see that opposite the camera arrangement and the flash and the heart rate sensor, there is now a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, which should prove really convenient for most users. Previously, experience that we found with other phones with back-mounted fingerprint sensors, it's a more convenient position and it's more comfortable anyway. It sits more naturally with how your hand holds the device. So we think that's a smart move on Samsung's part. And if I move back around to the front, above the display, it's hard to see, but there's the front-facing camera, and next to it is the infrared sensor, because this, like the Note 7, also has an iris scanner. Now, this is an improved iris scanner over the original example that we saw with the Note, and that is, in terms of accuracy, in terms of speed as well. Some of the demos that we've seen here is incredibly fast, so it's very impressive to see. And it also means you can do authentication with some of the phone's other features too. Whilst I'm on the phone and talking about that camera, they've actually upgraded the camera over their last flagships with an 8-megapixel front facer. It has an f1.7 aperture, and it features autofocus, of course, with face detection. So it's a pretty solid camera out the gate, especially with that super wide aperture for excellent low light performance. Great if you're in the club, and in typical Samsung fashion, I believe. If I open up and we'll just see ourselves for a second, there is a screen-based flash as well. So I don't believe it's, if it was on, it uses a screen-based flash as well. So you do have a front-facing flash of a sort, just not an LED-based one. Now, as we're talking about cameras, if I jump around to the back, the setup is much like the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. You have a 12-megapixel sensor with OIS and electronic image stabilization as well. It also has an f1.7 aperture. But the main thing that Samsung's done, from the outside at least, is they've actually managed to basically take the camera bump down to naught. It is effectively flush to the back of the phone, which is something that they've been striving for. We saw it with the A series, the 2017 A series. That was a big part of that design, and now they've actually installed it in their newest flagship. So it looks great. Slide on in your pocket, it doesn't protrude, you don't notice it. So it's a really nice move from Samsung that they've been able to shrink that camera bump down to basically nothing and still retain all of the functionality of the excellent camera that we had on last year's Samsung flagships. It still has dual focus pixel technology, you still get 4K video recording, as I said, both forms of image stabilization. So there's a lot going on in the camera tech. Nothing groundbreaking per se, but everything that we've seen from the S7 and S7 Edge, and they were already great cameras. Now, the interface that we're looking at here is actually Android 7.0 Nougat, so it runs that out of the box. Of course, it's the latest gen flagship, but if I swipe up here, what we're actually looking at is obviously the latest iteration of TouchWiz, Samsung's overlay. It's a much cleaner take, new icon design across the board. You can see very simple S-Bind integration, which is something that we saw with the Nougat update for the S7 and S7 Edge as well. But it looks and feels really tight. Also, the home button's down the bottom, you can see, also redesigned too. So there's a lot of new kind of aesthetics going on, but it's still a familiar interface, especially if you come from a previous Samsung phone. I mean, this looks exactly like Nougat on the S7 and S7 Edge too. So you get a similar experience there. One of the big new features, though, is called Bixby, which is the company's new virtual assistant, I guess you could call it. It kind of transcends, it covers a lot of different elements of the phone's experience, but there's a dedicated button on the left side here. So we have the power button on the right, but on the left side, this is actually the Bixby button. So you can tap it once, and it basically shows update, which is their newsfeed, but it also says Bixby at the top. So you get a whole rundown of everything that your phone is tracking. You get the news and everything like that, of course. One of the forms of Bixby you can use is Bixby Vision, which if I tap that button at the top there, you can also access this through the camera. take a photo of an object, for instance, a branded object like a bottle of water, and you can search shopping, and it'll search the internet for shopping. Not too dissimilar from the Firefly feature that we saw on the Amazon Fire phone a few years back, but it's integrated into this phone in a really impressive way. It looks really good. It works very well with our initial demo too. If you ask voice questions, you can then have it do context-aware searching, so it can search for things on the internet based on kind of where you are as well. You can also do things like ask for your photos of London, because it can read metadata from a gallery. So say there are images here captured from your gallery from a certain location, it will be able to tell where those are. You can select a few photos, and one of the demos we saw, you can actually then say, make a London album based on the photos tagged with the London metadata, and it can do that. So that's everything on the outside and what you can see with the Galaxy S8. On the inside, it is powered by a Exynos chipset. We're at this pre-brief, so we don't actually have the exact model, but it's suspected to be an Exynos 8895. It's an octa-core chip backed up by 4GB of RAM with 64GB of internal storage. And there's also a 3000 mAh battery on the inside there. This one does charge via USB Type-C. It does support fast charging, as with the S7 and S7 Edge, and wireless charging and wireless fast charging. Everything that the previous phones had is present with this device. And also Type-C means that this is also one of the first phones after the Note 7 to support the new Samsung Gear VR, which is an upgraded headset. It works with the S8 family, the S7 and the S6 family. It's backwards compatible, but it also supports the new touch controller too, which is a motion controller touch controller. So that's basically everything that we can tell you right now about the Samsung Galaxy S8 here at this London pre-briefing event. We'll have more come the full launch on March 29th, I believe it is, and you can read more on recombo.com/mobile to get the full skinny. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.